I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to look at, we looked at the long I. This time what I want to do is I want to look at two vowels in contrast with each other. They're both the same letter, but let me share. Do you see the long I? The I is highlighted. The long I, look at it phonetically. And then the short I, although in normal letters, it's I versus I, but phonetically it's I, and then it's it. And that's represented by a capital I. So I want you to look at, when we're speaking, when we're looking at the long versus the short, you can see the long is on, at least where I am, it's on the left-hand side, and the short is on the right-hand side. Always be aware of the phonetic representation of the sound. Mike, Mick. Those are two names, nicknames. Mikey, Mickey. Child, look at that long I. Chilled. Fight, I'd. Look at the phonetic representation, it. Fit, it. Slime. Notice that sometimes all I'm doing, I have the same word, and all I'm doing is either adding the E or taking away the E. And depending whether it has the E or if it doesn't have the E, the pronunciation, the E is silent. But the pronunciation of the vowel, which in this case is I, is changed. Well, it changes from, if it's long and you take away the E, then it's short. Okay, so you have slime, slim, slim. Nite, look at that I, knit, it. Tiny versus teeny. Tiny is very small. Teeny is even smaller than very small. A lot of times you hear people say teeny weeny. Now, isn't this interesting? Two words that look exactly alike. This is a homograph. I love words like this. And I love explaining words like this. This is a homograph. And although it looks the same in the normal alphabet, in the phonetic alphabet, it doesn't look the same. In the phonetic alphabet, when you have the AI, which is the long I sound, it's wind, to wind something up. Wind. In the short, which is a capital I representation, wind. Now I'm purposely pronouncing the D at the end a little bit exaggerated because I don't want you to get mixed up with the word wine, W-I-N-E. So this is wind, to wind up. You wind up a clock, you wind it. And then wind is, in the normal alphabet, they look the same. But if you were to spell them phonetically, they would not look the same. These are homographs. Two words written exactly the same, but pronounced differently. Spine, spin, in, spin. Shine, chin, in, chin. A lot of times, all I'm doing is the long ends in the E, remove the E, I have a different word, and the I takes on a different pronunciation. Line, Linn. Now here, I don't even have an I. The Y imitates the sound of the short I. Light, light, ite, I-G-H. That is, the whole thing should be highlighted. Even though I'm highlighting only the I-G-H is the correct highlight because it's I-G-H, that is the I sound. And then lit. To light something, I always light, I don't know, the yard. Yesterday, I lit the yard. Died. The reason I highlighted both because that E makes that I, even though it's a little bit different, I-E, that E makes that I long. Died. It did. It did. It did. Short I. Side. Remove the E. Sid. Short. Sid is a name, that's why it's uppercase. Cite. Your website, for example. Remove that E. Sit. It. Very important verb, also irregular. And you say either sit, and depending on the situation, sit down. Nite, a soldier during the medieval period, maybe early modern period, knit. Dyke, dick. Be careful with these two words because even though the words are quite common and at one time they were used without any cultural baggage, they now have cultural baggage to the point that you have to be very careful how you use them because now they also have vulgar definitions, both. Byte, bit, byte, bit. Gripe, remove that E, grip. Gripe, grip. Height, height, hit. Height, it, hit. Nite, that is a casual or informal spelling of N-I-G-H-T. You'll see it in the dictionary, but you have to be very careful because you only use that in very, you can never replace N-I-G-H-T for this N-I-T-E. You'll see night when you're talking about like a nightclub. Knit. Whyte, which is someone's name, W-H-Y-T-E. The Y here is imitating the long I sound because the Y can imitate the long sound or the short sound. And white can be spelled White when you're talking about a color or when you're talking about someone's last name. I haven't seen this as a first name, but it could be. Wit, right, ite, writ, time, which is a spice, time, Tim, M. Cycle, the cycle of the seasons, sickle, sickle, sickle cell anemia. Nite, knit. Notice in both of these, this is why I put these, in both of these, like I said, it should be IGH. That should be the I sound because it's not just the I, it's the IGH. The reason I put these, if you notice that the KN, both KN, if you didn't speak the language, you would think it would be, I don't know how you would even pronounce it, knite, and knit, but that K is silent. There's not a lot of words like this in English, but if you know, KNOW, which is pronounced the same as NO. Died, the E makes the Y take on the long I sound, and she dyed her hair. She changed the color of her hair. This is a homophone to D-I-E-D, died, which means to no longer be living. And did is the past tense of the verb to do. Very important verb in the English language, very important. Used for a variety of structures. Widder, widder. Slide, remove that E, slid, it, slid. Slight, slit. Nite, once again, be careful. Knit, as far as using N-I-T-E. Byte, bit. Interesting. Byte is the infinitive form, simple form of the verb to bite. Bit is the past tense form of the verb to bite. Okay, hold on. Let's do it. Cite, sit, rhyme, rim. Remove that E, and that I takes on a short sound. Rile, real. File, feel. You have to be careful because that I for feel, the first one I said feel, that's incorrect. It's feel. It, because sometimes that I, that short I, sounds very close to the long E sound. And some, depending on what area of the United States, they will pronounce F-I-L-L and F-E-E-L the same. Spanish speakers have a particular problem with the short I and the long E sound. I talk about that in another video, but the particular problem, which can be somewhat embarrassing when you want to say S-H-E-E-T, sheet, and by mistake, because your tongue doesn't act right, and you say S-H-I-T, which is a vulgar term in English. Or when you want to say B-E-A-C-H, which is beach, you go to the beach there's the ocean and you enjoy the sun and the water. I don't enjoy the sand, but in the sand, but instead of saying beach, you say bitch, a vulgar a word that people sometimes use to call a woman. In the world of dogs, it's quite legitimate term. It's a female dog, and that's why it's very insulting to a woman. Tile, till. Oh, just for your own benefit, LL in English doesn't have a different sound like it does in Spanish. You add the extra L because you add the extra L, but it doesn't have a different pronunciation. Not like in Spanish when you have the LA and the AA and the L. Shine, remove that E, shin. Fiber, fibber. A fibber is someone who tells a lie. Somebody says, you're fibbing. That's what little kids say. Instead of saying, because they're told not to say you're lying. So it's a euphemism for a liar. Right. Now notice that W in both writ. Notice a W in both the right and the writ is silent. There's silent letters, especially for people who come from languages where what you see is what you pronounce, can be very problematic because there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, a lot of times the W is silent, but not all the time. A lot of times the H is silent, but not all the time. Nite, nit. This is the nite that is correct. You can use this when you're talking about after hours. Line, Linn. Notice that Linn, where before it was with a Y, here it's with an I. Side, sid. Notice that I'm not the sid. It's not with a it's not with the S. It's with a C. Cite, sit. Once again, the cite here is not with an S, it's with a C. It doesn't mean the same thing. When you have a website, that's S-I-T-E. Cite, when you're citing a quote or citing a footnote, that's in the book, you're citing it, you're showing it. Stripe, strip. Byte, how many bytes? That's dealing with the computer. And bit, but notice the byte here is not with an I, it's with a Y. Whyte, wit. Here, the Whyte is not with a Y, and it's lowercase because it's not someone's name. It is the color of something. Write, writ. Right, the only time you see, well, no, rights. In the Catholic Church, you're given the last rites. I was given, so you only see that with Rite Aid, which is a pharmacy. No, that's not true. That's not true. It's a very specialized term, and it's within the Catholic Church, talking about the last rites, the last thing the priest does with you, for you, before you die. Time, 10. Rhyme. Notice this rhyme is RH, where the other rhyme was RINE. Rhyme, rim. Mics, mix. The X takes on more of an S sound to mix something. And we're right back where we started, mic, mic. So we're looking at, instead of looking at the short I in isolation, like I've looked at a lot of the vowels in isolation, I thought I would change it up a little bit and look at it in relation to its long counterpart, where in regular spelling, the I and the I, whether short or long, is I. But if you look at the phonetic spelling, you will see that the long I is, the phonetic spelling is different from the short I. I think I'm gonna do that for some other letters too. Look at it in comparison. Also, when you do that, sometimes these are minimum pairs. Words that are spelled, no, that are pronounced almost, not quite, because a homophone are words that are pronounced exactly the same, but words that are pronounced almost the same. This is how we make jokes, not all jokes, but some jokes. Oh, I didn't say that. You misunderstood me. And that's the joke. It sounds so close, the person thinks you're saying one word versus the other. And then you say, oh no, I didn't say that. I said the other thing. And that's the joke, or a way of insulting someone without taking responsibility. So once again, I would like to thank you for coming to my videos. If you would, I would appreciate if you could subscribe so I can get as many people as possible. I'm trying to get 1 million. I know. You're probably saying to yourself, good luck with vowels, but I'm not going to just have vowels. This is just the beginning. I want to have vowels and consonants and minimum pairs, and this is just for pronunciation. And I want to have pronunciation in English and all the different rules of pronunciation. I also have cards on pronunciation in Spanish and examples of how pronunciation in Spanish can at times be complicated, but nowhere near how complicated it is in English. I'm also going to be putting up cards dealing with accents. How do you know when to use an accent in Spanish? There are rules. You just don't put the accent because it looks pretty. Because in Spanish, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look exotic. It doesn't look intelligent. It's an accent. In fact, in Spanish, the rule is the following. If after pronouncing the word, you cannot decide whether the word takes an accent or not, it's better to not put the accent. Better to not put the accent, because if you put an accent on a word that should not contain an accent, it looks very illiterate. It looks very uneducated. For a Spanish speaker, it looks the opposite of what an English speaker would say. Oh, it looks so exotic. No, it looks wrong. I think it would look like if someone put, and I've seen this, put a apostrophe on a word that doesn't contain an apostrophe. It doesn't look exotic to us. It doesn't look romantic or whatever. It looks like that person doesn't know how to use an apostrophe. So I'm going to have hundreds, no, not hundreds. Well, yeah, if you take consideration all the cards, hundreds of cards, but not hundreds of categories. My God, I mean, you would never finish. So I would like to thank you. This is Corella Fickley McLean at Welcome, WYLCOME. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Welcome at WYLCOME.com. Have a great day. Bye.